What the hell kind of TBR is this? You're closer to me than you were a second ago. Back up, guys. Get out of my space bubble. Cheesecake. Can you imagine? This is what it's like in my head at all times. What's up, guys? My name is Natalie, and welcome to my Nook of Novels. In today's video, I'm going to be spinning my wheel and choosing my May TBR. Now, May is almost upon us, and May is going to be a very exciting month for me because my school ends on May 5th. So I will have the rest of the month to bask in the summer, essentially, and finally get to actually sit down and read a book. My favorite thing to do. Aside from also, I'm gonna have to work a lot. Aside from that, I'm going to be focusing a lot on reading and actually trying to get through some books. And then I'm also planning to try to make a recent reads video in May. Don't quote me on that, but that is the idea. That is the goal. So hopefully that will be coming your way soon as well. But as for right now, my current reads, I'm still in the middle of The Raven Scholar by Victoria Hodgson. I'm about halfway through that. So if you remember from my April TBR, it wasn't on there, right? Because I was still reading it then because it was on my March TBR. So if you're keeping track at home, basically I have not started my April TBR yet, even though it's already halfway through the month, which is really unfortunate, but that's just how it is. That's how things are going. I have been very busy as always. So the goal, what I'm really hoping is going to happen is I'm going to be able to finish that before the end of the month and then go ahead and start I Who Have Never Known Men. There's some other books from my April TBR that I really wanted to get to as well. The main one being Repeat After Me. I was very excited for that book. So hopefully what's going to happen is I really want to get that book on my May TBR so that hopefully then I can start it in May. So for every single prompt for my May TBR that I choose a book that was on my April TBR, I'm essentially going to allow myself all of those options still for my May TBR because I barely read anything. Although what I have read of The Raven Scholar is absolutely phenomenal. I'm having the best time. If only I could just drop everything and read it constantly until I'm done. It would be great if the world worked that way and you could just be like, you know what? Responsibilities are no more. I'm just going to read for the rest of time. That's what I would do. As far as the things I'm hoping to get on this TBR, I kind of had a peek at my unfinished series and I realized that I still just have so many to get through, which has been the case obviously for quite a while now. I ended up erasing because I have them all on a whiteboard over here. That's where I keep track of my unfinished series. And I went ahead and erased the few that I am going to have to start over with to continue because I feel like it just adds stress to have those sitting there looking at me when I honestly have no active intentions of reading those anytime soon. And once I do start over with those series and continue them again, I will obviously add them back to the unfinished series list. But as of right now, I'm just going to not look at them and have one less thing to stare at me and stress me out. So I took 3 off of there. I took off The Expanse, The Crown's Game, and Alex Rider. And I also made a list of all the series that I do want to start over with at some point. Ooh, I also just remembered that I have a secret video that I want to film this summer, which I'll probably start as soon as I can in May. So that's really exciting. That's something for you guys to look forward to as well. And definitely for me to look forward to because chances are I will be working on that for a very long time and it will be freaking forever before you guys ever find out what I'm talking about. This is the one that I filmed a long time ago and it took me like 6 months to film it and then I realized that the quality wasn't very good, so I wanted to start over with it and try again. Anyway, I just interrupted myself and got off on a tangent and I have no idea what I was saying. This is what it's like in my head at all times. Oh yeah, so I made a little list of all the series that I want to start over with at some point in time. Those are series that kind of just sit in the back of my brain as something that I do want to return to because I'm curious about the rest of it, or I have high hopes for it, or I didn't feel like I gave the first book enough of a chance when I read it and I do think I have the potential to love it. Anything like that. Just things that I feel drawn to give another try. I made a list of those. So those are just sitting in a notebook, not to stress me out, but just for me to reference if ever I feel like restarting a series. And I will also be adding a restart a series prompt to my wheel. I haven't done it yet. It's like late and I just did so many things before I started filming this video, and I was like, I'm not going to stop and also do that. That's just going to have to wait for a future Wheel of TBR, but that is something that I'm going to start having on my wheel again. And I might do something to where it shouldn't come up extremely often, because I don't want to be restarting old series constantly, because that sounds kind of stressful. I might do where if it comes up, then I won't put it back in the stack again until I've finished that series or a certain number of series, anything like that. I don't know. I'll figure it out later, but those are just ideas in the top of my head. But yeah, so I still actively have technically, I think 16 series I'm in the middle of. 3 of them are things I'm reading to my boyfriend. So those aren't necessarily priority series. Those are just things that we're going to read when we feel like reading them. And I think, so one of those is Saga, which only has 1 book left. So that's not a huge deal. That one shouldn't be very difficult. Chainsaw Man is another one, which I don't know. We will continue that one when we get there. And then Dungeon Crawler Carl is like the main one we're focusing on right now. And then I have a bunch of others that only have 1 or 2 books left. So I have 13 total of like ones that I am actively reading, but again, they're not all like super heavily priority series. I have 3 main series that are technically my main priorities, and those 3 are the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi. So the next one is Ignite Me, which is the 3rd book. Well, technically the next one is Fracture Me, which is the 2.5 novella, which was on my April TBR, but that one and Ignite Me are the next ones up. And then The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare, which Book 2, Clockwork Prince, is up next. And then also, I read in December, Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Ellery Sayens. And I loved that book. I gave it 5 stars. So I also really need to read the sequel, which is Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World. And that one's just a duology. So many words. Those are my main 3 priority series continuations as of right now. And then there's also, I need to continue the Faithful and the Fallen series and read the 4th and final book, which is Wrath. So I have a feeling that one might come up on this TBR today. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. But those are just kind of the things that I'm thinking about the most. And series continuations are really going to be a major priority for me for this TBR. But then also just obviously, I want to make a TBR that I'm excited about as well. So that being said, the one other thing I want to talk about before we start spinning the wheel is the popular book that I'm going to be reading for the month of May. So if you guys have been here, if you've seen my last few videos, then you know that every single month I try to fulfill 3 prompts for myself with my TBR. One prompt being choosing a book from my wheel that I would not have otherwise chosen, something I don't really think about that often and would not have picked up on my own. A productive book, so a series continuation or a book that I'm borrowing from a friend or anything like that. And then the 3rd one is a popular book, so that I am reading something relevant each month. Popular is kind of relative. I feel like it's kind of hard for me to judge sometimes how popular a book is. Sometimes I just see a really popular booktuber talking about it, and then I feel like it probably gets more hype because of that, or it just seems hyped to me because this popular person is talking about it. I don't really know. It's hard for me to gauge sometimes. So I mean, obviously certain books, I see them absolutely everywhere and I'm like, okay, that one is popular. Other ones, I'm like, I don't know if I am just not seeing the places where people are talking about this, and they are. So anyway, and some of them too were popular a while ago, or, you know, these aren't necessarily just the newest, hottest releases. They're just popular in some capacity as far as I could tell. So if I consider it popular, it's going on the list of things that I might consider for this prompt. So for the month of May, for the poll that I put up on my Instagram, the 4 books, sorry if you can hear the cat using the litter box. Oh, and now she's not. She just like decided to stick her paw in it and then walk away. So that's cool. The 4 books that I chose for this poll was The Will of the Many by James Islington, Interesting Facts About Space by Emily R. Austin, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, and The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. And there was actually a tie for this one. It was between Remarkably Bright Creatures and Interesting Facts About Space, and I really wanted to read Interesting Facts About Space, so I chose that book as the winner for this poll. And I went to get it from Barnes & Noble and they didn't have it, so I had to order it, so I'll probably end up getting it next week. But yeah, that's going to be the popular book that I read for this month. I saw it by Sid talking about it and it made me so interested in it. it. I get the vibes of it that it's going to make me feel a similar way that Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake did. I loved that book. They're both about characters with autism who kind of navigate the world in their own interesting ways. Alone with You in the Ether, she had like a hyperfixation on math, and like everything that she saw was like a math problem to her. And she was like this math kind of genius who worked in this museum. I love those characters, just really spoke to me. I loved everything about that book. I thought it was so stunning and beautiful. It made me so happy. And then interesting facts about Space is about an autistic character who, if she's ever feeling any kind of emotion that she doesn't really know how to process, she basically calls her mom and just tells her space facts. And that's kind of how she processes the world around her. And I just think that it sounds like it's going to be so impactful, and I feel like I'm going to love it so much. Alone with You in the Ether is one of my favorite books. And obviously I'm not going to be going into this book expecting it to be Alone with You in the Ether, because that will be setting myself up for failure. But I do expect to just really, really love this book, because in concept, I just think that it sounds so interesting again, and like something that's really going to hit me very hard. So aside from that, I think that is everything that I have to talk about before we start spinning the wheel. I'm going to spin 6 times for the month of May, because again, it's the first month of summer for me. And so, oh my gosh, the cat is being really cute right now. Sorry. We got a new cat, by the way. So now we have 2. This one is less evil than our other one. Her name is Dark Chocolate Cheesecake. I call her Cheesecake, and she's just being really sleepy, and it's the greatest thing ever. Anyway, spinning 6 times in May, because like I said, I'm gonna have a little bit more time to read this month, and I'm hoping to get kind of a wide variety of things on my TBR. Lots of sequels, hopefully some exciting books. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump over to the wheel and start spinning. I feel like I need a booster seat for this camera angle. Like, I feel like I'm just too short for this. I've decided to sit on a pillow to make this angle a little bit better, because it's really hard to work with the fact that with the angle, it has to be so high so that you can see the arrow, but then I'm down here and everything else is up here. So this is going to be my solution for now. So we're doing 6 spins, like I said. If I land on the same space twice in a row, I will be adding a spin like always. We also have add 2 books on here still, I think. Yeah, lowest alphabetical is still on there, which if you remember from the last video is going to be a scary thing if that comes up, but also a good thing in the end, in the long run. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start off with spin number 1. Are you crooked? No, I think you're not crooked. The ring light is though. I think that's better. Okay, spin number 1. Guys, we just got here. This is gonna be a fun TBR. Okay, so we're gonna be doing 8 spins. What can you do? Switching out the prompt, I guess. Cheesecake, you're bringing bad luck to my video. I don't appreciate it. We're gonna switch out the add 2 books prompt for a buttery book. So this is a book with one of those soft silicone-y kind of covers. They feel buttery to me. I don't know if that's a universal description, but it's the one I like the best. Spin number 2. 1, actually, yeah. We're still on spin number 1, guys. Got ahead of myself. Okay, spin number 1 out of 8. I totally just like ruined your view by sticking my head in to see where it was landing. Oh, Cheesecake him to join us. She said, I want in on this action. Guys, I really still think you're crooked. It's so hard to tell. I'm gonna go ahead and change the rule where I'm like, oh, if it's able to land on it versus if it's not. I feel like it's so much easier just to say the one that it landed on before it went backwards is the one that it's gonna be. I think that's the most fair. I think that'll give all the spaces the most chance of coming up. So we're just gonna go with that. Blind pick is my first prompt. The way that I'm gonna do this is I'm going to randomly number generate something to land. What am I saying? I'm going to use a random number generator to select which shelf I'm going to be blindly picking from, because otherwise I feel like I have some range of knowing kind of the general direction of where things are, if that makes sense. I can say, oh, I'd rather read the books on this shelf versus this one. So I want to make it as random as possible. I will reiterate that if I end up choosing a book that will make me start a new series, I will give myself the option to either go with that book or pick a second choice so that I can try to stay on top of my series. Ow! Cheesecake, do I look like I'm playing with you right now? I'm sitting in a chair talking to a camera. Is that playful to you? What a freak. So let's think of how many TBR shelves I have. I have 9 shelves, sorta kinda. The way that I'm gonna do it, because I have a couple shelves on this pink shelf where I have 1 or 2 options. For that, I'm just going to temporarily, just for a second, move those over to a different shelf because I don't want to randomly number generate that, and then it defeats the point of blind pick, if that makes sense. Number generator. We're gonna go 1 through 9, and I'm gonna screen record. We're going to generate, and it's 7. Oh, I forgot to like assign what numbers were what shelves. Okay, so my dollhouse shelves are gonna be 1 and 2, and then we're gonna go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 is gonna be the one in the living room. I know you guys probably can't see that. I have it in my head though, and that's the important thing. So we're gonna generate again 6. Okay, 6 is this shelf. You probably can't see from there, but 6 is this yellow, green, and orange shelf. So I feel like I don't really know a good way to do this. I'm trying not to already look and know what books are where. So I'm just gonna close my eyes and spin in a circle or so, and then just reach out and grab a book. Wish me luck. Ooh. Oh, okay. Wait, that's not what I was expecting. When I first touched this, I thought it was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, but it's Pretend She's Here by Luann Rice. Interesting. Oh, there's a bee on the inside. That's cool. You're closer to me than you were a second ago. Back up, guys. Get out of my space bubble. Okay, that's better. Pretend She's Here by Luann Rice. I acquired this book so many years ago. I was probably like 12 or something when I got this book. And she wrote these 2 books I really liked. One is The Secret Language of Sisters, which is about this girl who she texts her sister while she's driving, and then the sister goes to respond, gets in a car accident, and becomes essentially paralyzed. It was really sad and emotional. I'd say it was probably one of the most emotional books that I'd ever read when I read it, because obviously I was a lot younger and I hadn't read a lot of like super hard-hitting books then. And so it was just very impactful for me, and I really, really loved it. She wrote this other book called The Beautiful Lost, which was basically just about this girl who ran away with some guy. I don't know. I remember it being a fun time. It was like a cute little road trip kind of thing. Kind of random, but I thought it was a vibe, so I enjoyed it. This one, I think, is about this girl whose best friend has passed away, and that's all I really know about it. I'm not gonna say that I'm expecting to love this. I don't have absurdly crazy expectations for it, but I do think that it could be one that I enjoy quite thoroughly. Depending. Worst comes to worst, I think I will maybe get something out of it, have a good time while it lasts, and then never think about it again, and that will be perfectly okay with me. But I'm excited to finally read this book, as it's been on my TBR, like I said, for at least like 8 years or so, which is such an absurd amount of time for a book to sit on my shelf all lonely and sad. That was a fun prompt. Also, that will definitely fulfill my book I wouldn't have otherwise chosen prompt. That one is very easy to fulfill every single month, I will say. There's always something that like throws a loop in my expectations. Rest of TBR is the prompt. It would be crazy if this came up right now. If this comes up, then I will spin the wheel again, and whatever prompt I choose, everything else on my TBR will just be that prompt. So that will be the final spin, which is kind of anticlimactic if it comes up early, but it means that I have to fulfill the same prompt so many times over, which can be really fun and exciting depending on what the prompt is. If it's like biggest book or something, end of my life. Like there's no more Natalie after that if that comes up. Spin number 2 out of 8. Oh my gosh, wait, I was really nervous this would happen. Okay, so again, it's kind of anticlimactic because then we don't get to watch the wheel spin and spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. It's like I'm hypnotizing all of you. Ah, kitty, what the fuck? What the flip, kitty? What the hell? Do you hate me? And it also landed on the same space again, which means I have to read 9 books. So whatever the next prompt is, the next 9 books on my TBR will be that prompt. Imagine if it's boyfriend picks. Wait, he has to pick out 9 books for me to read. That would be fun. That would be really exciting. I am like really overthinking this. Okay. I'm just not mentally prepared for whatever's about to happen. Well, I'm gonna switch the prompt out so that then that one has a prompt on the space, and then we'll go for what's essentially gonna be the final spin of this video. I don't know how I get myself in situations like this. I'm trying to think how long I can sit here and procrastinate what could potentially be the most terrifying spin of my life. Okay, switching out the prompt. If it's biggest book, oh my gosh. Okay, punishment jar. Wait, okay. That's also like really awful. Can you imagine? Oh my word. Oh my word. What the hell kind of TBR is this? Spin number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 8 in 1 combo, guys. Deal of a lifetime. Let's spin. Let's just spin already. Okay, that could have been so much worse. Okay, 9 books with an animal on the cover. I will say this, if I can't find 9 books with an animal on the cover, then however many I have left that I need fulfilled, I'll keep spinning new prompts. We'll do that. Although I have a very large TBR, so I feel like I can probably make this work, but we'll see. I'll be back. Stay tuned. Okay, so I kind of just tore my shelves apart looking for every single possible option that I have to fulfill this prompt, and boy do I have some options. I'm not going to go through every single one. I don't even know where to start because I kind of want this TBR to be a good mix of things where, again, it's like things I wouldn't normally go for, but also some sequels, but also things I'm excited to get to. I will say 2 that I definitely want to put on here are The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This has a little cat right here, and I just feel really drawn to this one. I think I'm really gonna love it. It's one I want to read. I saw a Matt Haig book at the store the other day, and it reminded me that this book exists, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited for that. And since then, I've been really thinking about this book a lot, and I think it's one I'm gonna love. So this one is definitely gonna go on there, as well as Repeat After Me, because like I said, I am very excited for that book, and I'm gonna be upset if I don't get to read it in April. So either way, I will be reading that one soon. But now I'm gonna sit here and ponder for just a minute on the rest of this TBR. Please don't eat my books, please and thank you. I think I came up with the list. I think this is the craziest TBR video I've ever done in my life. So I wrote down all of these sequels that could possibly work for animal on the cover. So we have Dragon Slayers Academy number 6 and 7. Both of those work. Kingstone Bible volume 2, Sunrise on the Reaping, and Hunting Adeline. All of those sequels work. Now I have chosen 3 sequels to put on here, and I chose a couple books I'm really excited about and a couple books that I think I wouldn't necessarily have picked up otherwise. So this was a really hard list to create because it's hard to make a balance of things. I don't necessarily just want to read everything I'm most excited about, because then there's certain things that I just will never end up reading. Like I said, Repeat After Me and The Midnight Library are the first 2 because I'm very excited about those. The sequels I chose for this list are the Kingstone Bible Volume 2 because I feel like that is going to be a relatively quick one. This one has horses like at the top here. They're marching on horses, so that's the animal on this cover. I chose Hunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. I want to make a vlog when I read this book, and so I feel like May is the perfect time to go ahead and read this and finish up this duology. Obviously it has moths / butterflies on the cover, so those are the animals for this one. Insects, animals, potato, tomato, I don't really care. Dragon Slayers Academy Volume 6 is going on here. That one has a dog on the cover. And then the last 3, we have Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This one doesn't actually have any animals on the cover, but the word crawdads is obviously in the title, so I figured that that would count. I don't really remember what this one is about, but I know it's a literary fiction that's very loved, and I think that I'm also going to love it a lot. I am in a very contemporary mood right now, so I was trying to get mostly kind of contemporary stuff on here. And then the last two things I wanted to put on here are these two Guardians of Ga'Hoole books. These are things, I think these are my brother's books, and they are like middle grade fantasy books that I just think that it would be good to go ahead and read and have off of my TBR. So this one is Guardians of Ga'Hoole, The Rise of a Legend, and this one is Lost Tales of Ga'Hoole. I think these will be fun. Obviously, they have owls on the cover, and this one also has a wolf. Yeah, I think these will be fun while I'm reading them. That was such a doozy. I literally have never had to do something like this ever in all my years of TBRing. Basically having to build my own TBR from scratch. I feel like that was such a journey of self-discovery just then. Now to put everything back on my shelves, because I just literally took apart my bookshelves to create this list of books to choose from. I think that's the longest I've ever spent on one single prompt. That took me forever. We're gonna switch out animal on the cover for fantasy. So just a fantasy book. I'm actually really glad that didn't give me like some crazy complicated prompt like, oh my gosh, finish a series would have been catastrophic, because finishing 9 series in 1 month is absolutely insane. Part of me wants to throw that prompt away, but the other part of me is like, that was so chaotic. I feel like I, out of curiosity, just have to leave it in there to see what happens if it comes up again. I don't have any words left or thoughts or brain cells. That like took everything out of me. I literally have nothing left. Okay, I guess let's wrap up my TBR now and review everything that I just put on it. Literally every single thing was just from this last prompt, but let's do it for old time's sake, you know? So before I go over all the books that I swear I just saw something move. Before I go over all the books that I have on my TBR this month, don't forget to stay tuned for the end of the video where I will be doing a little bit of a bookshelf reorganization. I'm implementing this into the end of all my We Live TBR videos now. Essentially just the books that end up off of my shelves for whatever reason, I'm going to be rearranging and putting things back on. So that'll be fun for you guys. So here's my TBR. We have Interesting Facts About Space by Emily R. Austin, which is my popular book of the month. Pretend She's Here by Luann Rice, which was my blind pick. We have Guardians of Ga'Hoole and Lost Tales of Ga'Hoole by Catherine Lasky. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. The Kingstone Bible Volume 2, the graphic novel Bible series. Moses to Samuel by, I don't know who these are by, Art Iris and Nate Butler. Also Repeat After Me by something Hartman. I think, I don't remember her name, but I'll have it on the screen right here. And then also Dragon Slayers Academy Volume 6, which I don't remember what that one is called. It's by Kate McMullen, but I will have that on the screen right here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's my 10 book TBR, including Interesting Facts About Space. So I know I said I'm gonna have free time in May. I didn't really mean that much free time when I said that, but here's hoping that I have a lot more time than I anticipate. Who knows? Who's to say? What a time to be alive. So that is my May TBR. I feel like this video is probably gonna be really weirdly short. Thanks for being here and thanks for watching. Let's go ahead and switch over to my bookshelf reorganization. Okay, so in terms of all the books that need to go back on my shelves this month, we have North is the Night by Emily Rath. This is one that went on my April TBR and then came back off. If you watched that video, you know why. I basically just switched it out for a different book that sort of fulfilled the prompt. This one needs to go back on the shelf. We also have Ignite Me by Tahara Mafi, because I had this one out as a placeholder for Fracture Me. And then the next two books are going to be really interesting to try to figure out where to put them, because these are both sort of books that I've already read and really loved. So I say sort of. We have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, which my mom bought for me after watching my last video where I said that I love this book and really need a copy of it. So this needs to go on my shelf. And then we also have the Fairy Loot edition of The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson, which I'm currently reading and loving, and I know that this is going to be a favorite book of mine. So this beautiful edition needs to find an appropriate home on my shelves where it can be displayed and all of its beauty can be seen by the world. So I'm gonna start with the TBR books because those are gonna be easy. I just have to find where they go in the rainbow and then we'll go from there. Okay, so both of these are probably gonna be on this shelf, and I'm pretty sure that's the shelf they were living on originally. I'm gonna put Ignite Me right here because I think that's the most cohesive place for that one to live. And then I need to make room. I'm gonna shift things up and then back down, if that makes sense, because I have gaps in weird places here. Ooh, okay, so we have a weird issue here where the next book over doesn't fit in this slot because I have a box set box right here, and so this one is too tall to fit in it. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. I have an idea, but this might look really weird. It's like a weird shade of orange on the spine that doesn't really match with anything. So I'm gonna move it over there, and then that will start us with the yellows, and I'll move this yellow book right here. I don't know if we really love that. That actually kind of looks awful. What to do? My thought process was if I make like a little like peachy section right here, that kind of fills in more books that will fit right here without making this just look out of place by shifting it over. I'm gonna try taking these pinker books back out though, because then if we shift things down a little bit, this thing keeps falling out. Then we can maybe put Crazy Rich Asians back down here. And then I think that won't look so silly with how I have things lined up, if that makes sense. I don't know if this really fixes the problem though. Okay, so then that gets kind of peachy, but then I think that will look stupid just jumping back into orange like that. Maybe that doesn't actually look stupid. Maybe all is well. Maybe if I switch these two, does that look better? Yeah, okay, I think I like that so much more. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna put the pink books back up top. If they'll both fit, I think they won't. Then we're gonna have to move Illuminate back down, which is fine. These yellow books are gonna have to go in here. And I think that should hopefully give us enough space for things not to look too crazy. This is gonna have to obviously be outside of it because it's really tall. That kind of fills it all in. There's a little bit of space, but that's like, I think, reasonable enough. I just now don't love how this looks. Okay, yeah, that's not bad at all. Maybe if we can stick Illuminate in here somewhere, that would fix things for sure. Okay, yeah, I don't hate that. So this weird like lighter spot is gonna kind of travel across two shelves, which I don't love, but that's okay. As long as each book looks good next to the others, that it's around, even if they're on different shelves, then that's okay with me. If that makes sense at all. Yeah, because those will kind of blend into each other. I like that. That goes into this green right here, which I enjoy. That took a lot more than I thought I was going to figure out. So then we're gonna start shifting things up. I think we just have the two books to shift up. Yeah, and that fills in all of that space. If you guys can even, you probably can't see in the corner right here anyway. And then that should give us enough space to go ahead and put North is the Night back in here. I think I had it right here. We're just gonna keep shifting things so that our extra space is all on the next shelf over, if that makes sense. So yeah, we have so much more room here right now. That's mostly because I have so many books sitting in my room right now for my April TBR, but that'll be next month's problem. I'm actually gonna go ahead and move some of these books that are on my little priority TBR shelf. I'm gonna move them over to here so that I free up some more space on this shelf that I'm kind of shifting into my favorite books of sorts shelf. So I'm gonna start with the dark ones just so that it doesn't look too crazy having them over there instead. This is gonna be the tricky part, is trying to figure out where to put I'm Glad My Mom Died and the Raven Scholar, especially because I'm Glad My Mom Died is this bright yellow that does not match anything else on these shelves. It's my fantasy shelf. I don't wanna mess up my fantasy shelf. I stuck I'm Glad My Mom Died up here next to Strange the Dreamer. So now these yellows kind of blended into each other pretty well. I took out Ship of Spells. So this will now go onto my regular TBR shelf. And now I just have to find somewhere to put the Raven Scholar. Okay, so this is what I have for now. I moved the Raven Scholar onto my favorite books shelf, and then I moved A Little Life down to the next one. And hopefully as I put more books on that shelf, that will look more cohesive there. But it's really hard for me to move things on this shelf because then I just kind of get sad because obviously to add new things, I have to take things out. And I'm like, these are all my favorite books, so I don't know what to take out and to add new things. I wouldn't say that I like the Raven Scholar more than A Little Life. I love A Little Life. It's one of my favorite books, obviously, which is why it's on the shelf. And we'll see when I finish the Raven Scholar how I feel. If I still think that it belongs on this shelf, I might end up hating the ending and thinking that it's not as good as I originally thought, and then at that point I might decide to move it elsewhere, but for now this is where it's gonna hang out and live. Now I do need to still move one more thing, so I'm gonna put the Gracier back on this priority shelf, so then that opens up another book spot on the TBR shelf for me to put Ship of Spells back where it goes. I forgot to point it back up, but basically I moved everything over and stuck it right here. That's everything now in its correct place. So back to me concluding the video. Thank you guys so much for being here and for watching this video. My Bookstagram, my Goodreads, and my book talk will all be linked in the description of this video if you guys would like to check out any of those, as well as the link to some of my most recent videos, such as my 70 books in 70 words 2025 wrap-up video, as well as my March and April Wheel of TBRs. Again, thank you guys for being here and for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!